Hi, I'm Joe Theismann, world champion quarterback and entrepreneur, and I'm here with Anni Keffer. And Anni, first of all, tell us who you are and what do you do?
Yeah, I'm Anni Keffer, like he said, and I am a speaker and an author and a coach, and I talk to young women and youth about how to show their true identity and their purpose so that they're able to resist peer pressure and not always follow that rotten role model and the next popular attitude, and really ultimately make a positive influence and legacy on this world.
How did you get started speaking?
Well, it started a little bit back, when I was younger, because all throughout middle school and high school, I really struggled with image, and I played small because I didn't feel like I was worth it.
You said you played small.
I played small.
What do you mean?
That I didn't feel like I was meant to be a leader, that I had the qualifications to be a leader. I thought I needed a position or, some kind of title or something like that, and I needed to be at a job or a business or in some association. And I needed to step back and let those kinds of people take over and really do the leadership position. So I didn't feel like I was worth it. And so many kids today struggle with that same thing. They think that they're not worth it enough to influence their peers and to really make a difference in the world. So I got frustrated, and as I got older, I thought something needs to change, but nobody's doing it. So something has to be done, but I just kept getting frustrated and I didn't do anything to change it.
At what stage, at what point, you said when you got a little bit older, where did it start to change for you?
It's probably at the end of high school into college when I felt maybe a little bit more qualified. I was still struggling with feeling small, and like I said, I was still frustrated, but then I remembered a quote that changed everything. And it's Mahatma Gandhi, and he said, "Be the change you wish to see in the world." I thought, I actually have to be that change. So if I want students to think differently, act differently, speak differently, influence differently, and ultimately lead differently, first I have to do that, and then I have to turn around and show them how to do it. So I was able to marry my mission, which was changing the next generation, with my passion, my love for speaking, and now I get paid to travel the country to do that, which is awesome.
That's great. It's interesting. It's almost like validation. You talk about the little person inside. For me, when I was at the University of Notre Dame, I was 5'10" and 152 pounds. We would play against the University of Southern California. I have all these guys going into the pros. And here I was in a situation, in a scenario where I felt if I could play well against them, then I deserved to be a college quarterback. Then when I became a professional quarterback, I was only 175 pounds. Now I was going to play the great Dallas Cowboy football teams, and I thought, if I could play well against the Dallas Cowboys, then I felt like I belonged. Where did you find that one moment where you felt like you belonged, or was it a moment that sort of validated what you talk about with such passion now?
It's hard to think if it was one moment, but it was sort of an accumulation of things. When I started to get my mindset correct, and I started, I don't have to have a qualification or a title, but I know that I have a mission and a passion and a love for this, and I have the gift of speaking. And that moment when you connect with somebody and they go, you know what? I felt like you did, and I know that you're speaking to me and you're being real and authentic, and that we connect on another level. That to me was saying, you know what, people need this. They're craving for it. No one's asking for it, but they're craving for it. And if I can speak to that and I can change the game for them, who knows what they could do in this world. They could blow it out and look back and think that one person changed my life.
Do you get feedback from people that you speak to, organizations that you speak to, about what you've impacted in their life?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, when I did my own event in Atlanta, Georgia, they were talking to me after, and they just said, I can't believe that you were able to come in here, and a group of 35 girls, and they were all kind of sitting like this. And
Isn't that great? Isn't that great? You walk in, you want to talk to somebody, and the first thing you notice is they've got their arms crossed and they've got this scowl on their face like, go ahead, show me, make me listen. Yeah, I've been there, done that. It's exciting.
As scary and as intimidating it is to walk in that crowd, but as the moments went on and I started to speak and I was just real and I connected with them, they all of a sudden they sat out of their chair and they were leaning in and they were asking questions. And a girl came up to me after, she said, "I wish I was as courageous as you are." And that for me just put it all in perspective.
But you see, but the great thing is you can relate to that one young lady and say, I was you. You can be the way you see me, the way I project, the way I talk, the passion I have. You can be that. Do you find yourself connecting every now and then with one person that you just can't quite get them to come out of their shell? I mean, do you feel that frustration for that person?
I do feel that frustration because I was that way. You know, a lot of times you sit when you're younger and you sit in this perspective of, you know, that person's perfect, they figured it all out, you know, and you just can't get them to get there, but it's just being there for them. They need to see that you're there for them, that you're real, that you're going to keep coming back no matter what, that your message is actually true, and that it will pan out for them. And there is that frustration, but I just think for me, I just need to keep going and keep giving that message and showing them that this is the path. And when you get outside the box the world tells you to live in, there's a whole new realm of possibilities.
What are some of the key points, Annie, that you talk about?
Well, when I talk about leadership, I talk about having passion, because a lot of times we don't have passion for our life. Talking about really having a purpose, because a lot of times we get confused. You know, you walk into college and you have all these options and you don't know what to do with your life, and we feel overwhelmed, and that's how it is in life. There's so many things that we could pick from, but it's really drilling it down, right, to your purpose and your identity. When you played football, you had a purpose.
Sure.
You had an identity.
Actually, it was easier to operate when I played football than when I got out, because I was on a regimen. I had a time schedule and I had a purpose, and there was a passion for what I did. Then all of a sudden, when I left the game, I had to make those personal decisions myself. And it became a great challenge for me from a time management standpoint. Okay, I don't have to go to a meeting. What am I going to do? Okay, I don't have to go to practice. What am I going to do?
Right.
I've got all this time on my hands, but people have told me all my life what I was supposed to do. Now I got to figure it out for myself. That's really what you're trying to do, is give these young ladies an opportunity to be able to see what's out there and a direction to go in.
Right, yeah, drilling down to the nitty-gritty of who are you? What is your identity? Where does that lie? What is your purpose in this life? And then go after it with passion. Because you really can do anything that you set your mind to. Of course, you'll have setbacks and failures, which is great because it teaches you lessons. There's a beauty in that, but it's really drilling it down and then pushing forward, and no matter what the setback, getting back up and saying, this is what I'm supposed to do, this is who I am, and this is what I live for.
What would be one of the setbacks that you went through that set you back on your heels and you had to say, whoa, you know, and then press through it to get where you are today?
Man, it was my mindset. It was just bullying myself into playing small. It was just thinking I was never, ever, ever good enough.
I love that term, playing small, living small.
Yeah, just living into this idea that I had to be, you know, the world says, you know, you have to be this certain person and that's successful and popular. We know that doesn't work. I mean, everybody knows it, but for some reason, we get in this mindset where we think it's great. And so I had to keep battling this idea. You know, I still struggle with it sometimes. This whole idea of my mindset, you know, I'm not going to live in the box somebody else has designed for me.
One of the things that you just brought up, I think is so vitally important. People look at us, people that do speeches, and we have a passion for what we do. They think we don't have a bad day. They really do. They think that, I have people come up to me all the time and say, guys, your life is so full of energy. Your life is this, your life is that. I'm thinking, hey, I'm just like you. You know, I have my bad days. I just don't let it hold me down. I look at a bad day as an educational experience. You know, a little quote is one of my favorites, you know, I never had a failure in my life, only an educational experience that did not go my way. That's how I choose to look at life. And that has to do with what you're talking about, your mindset.
And it's really for people like us, it's being vulnerable and open. Because a lot of times, like I used to think, I'd look at people on stage, your life's perfect, you have it figured out, nothing's wrong with you. I mean, of course, that's crazy to think, but there is this perception, and you hold yourself with a confidence and an air that's very good, but people don't think that, like you said, that you ever have a bad day, but then it's turning around and saying, you know what, I still struggle with my mindset. I still struggle with, you know, not thinking and playing small and being in my box, but yet it's how I move out of that. It's the techniques and the frameworks and the principles I use to pull myself back from that and say, okay, do I want to follow how I feel, or do I want to step out and stand for the truth that I know?
It's a simple thing as, from a speaker standpoint, I used to work behind a podium. That was my safe little box. The microphone was there, that was that safe little box. All of a sudden, I decided to walk outside that box and walk into the audience and talk to people. And I found like it opened up an entirely new world to me. That's basically what you're saying, is don't let that podium, that little area in the podium, and that mindset that you have to be in that box get in your way. Now, if people want to talk to you, people want to find you, how do they get a hold of you? And let them know.
www.Anni, A-N-N-I, Keffer, K-E-F-F-E-R.com. AnniKeffer.com.
Thank you, Annie.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.